Welcome to another installment of 5 Minute Tones. On today's video, we are yet again diving into the world of 80s inspired clean sounds, specifically the Rockman X100 Clean 2 mode. I've done several videos talking about this. I've even got a video where you can recreate this sound using free plugins if you don't have a Fractal. But a quick recap on here if you do have a Fractal. Basically, after measuring my X100, I was like, that looks a lot like a tilt EQ into a compressor with some chorus and echo and extra grease on the end. So if you take a filter block, set the type to tilt EQ, try the center frequency at 1600 Hertz, and then go for between like 9 and 12 dB of gain on there. This will simultaneously give you a low shelf and a high shelf. So you're cutting out low end from the DI guitar, you're boosting high end to make it sparkly. Run it into the compressor of your choice and slam the ratio on there. Add a stereo chorus of your choice, or even better, a stereo chorus and some pitch detune on there. And you get that glorious plastic 80s clean sound. Now, in a recent update, Fractal did add a model of the Rockman compressor. I'm fairly certain this is based off the little Rockman half rack unit guitar compressor in there. So similar settings on here. I've just cranked the compression up, but this one has a tone control on there. So if you crank the tone up, you're going to get that lovely, bright, sort of clean 2 inspired thing on there. Let's have a listen to just using a single compressor block. So Rock Guy compressor, tone at 9, compression at 8. Pretty glorious. Now, I would not be surprised if under the hood that tone control is a simple tilt EQ. If that sounds way too spiky and spicy, just turn the tone control down on there. I mean, you turn it down, it's still going to sound pretty sweet if you're going for those sort of sounds. Now, this brings us to the whole point of this 5 Minute Tones episode. I was brushing my teeth this morning and my mind's on autopilot. And autopilot for me is normally just thinking about different guitar sounds. And I thought, if I was on an FM3 preset that was pushing the CPU load and I didn't quite have the spare headroom to add a compressor in there or a filter and a compressor, but I had a spare channel in the amp block, how could I get that Rockman Clean 2 sound? And I thought, you know what? The amp block, if I just use the tube pre, that's a very neutral sounding tube preamp. So crank the master volume up on it. But there's an input EQ, and you can set the input EQ type to be a tilt EQ. So tilt EQ, frequency at 1600 Hertz, gain at 11 dB. Better yet, if you go to the dynamics tab, there's an output compressor in there. So I turned the threshold all the way down, cranked the compression up on here. There is this output comp clarity control on here. I think it defaults to 6.51. So we'll start there. And that's kind of going to change up the tone a little bit, not as drastically as that Rock Guy compressor tone control. But guess what? You can get that Rockman Clean 2 sound out of the amp block as well. Let's hear it. there you go. Another way to get that Rockman-inspired clean sound. I love the way this sits in a mix for very particular applications. Some people will be totally in love with this sound. It will be nostalgic. It will fill them with warmth. And some of you would not have lasted this long in the video because this guitar sound is your idea of a waking nightmare. Let me know which one it is in the comment section below. And like I said before, this approach is really, really handy if you've got a spare amp block channel on there. I think I prefer just using that Rock Guy compressor on there with the tone control cranked up. That one sort of sounds the closest to my old X100 and the X100 pedal that MXR have just put out, but it works great in the amp block as well. What I like about this amp block version as well, if we go back over to it, is that you've got this 3-band EQ on here. So if you wanted to add a bit of grit with the gain control, if you wanted to say bring a bit of treble out, maybe boost up some bass, you can do that with the Tube Pre. It gives you a whole lot of extra control on there. So let me know your thoughts on that one in the comments section below. If you want to support what I'm doing here on the channel, there's links to my music and my Patreon in the video description, and I'll just play you all out with some more of these very sparkly 80s inspired clean sounds. I'm going to put the Mechanics Hall reverb on here as well because I love the way that sounds. See you on the next one.